Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Shalom, listeners. We return with an urgent update on Iran versus the Israeli Zionist state conflict, while Iran continues its retaliation for Israeli bombings, even targeting civilian tents in Gaza as recent as April 2025. Global tensions are now boiling over. From New York City streets and demanding America to stay out, to a rebuke of Israel's expansion from Jordan's leadership. The hypocrisy and the weariness of war are searing through the West. Find out more on the Forefront Radio.
You are now listening to the Forefront Radio, where we discuss history, the Bible, the history of the Israelites, science, and other matters. Bring it out. The history of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as it relates to the Bible. Who were you prior to slavery? Who were you prior to colonization? These answers and more can be seen and heard as you listen to the Forefront Radio.
In Bryant Park, across New York City, hundreds have rallied under banners like "No War on Iran," urging the United States to resist intervention. Fueled by memories of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, protesters ask, have we learned nothing from 20 years and 7 countries bombed? Now, why does it matter? Gen Z and boomers alike are echoing each other, tired of endless war, blood, and taxpayer burden. On X, voices say, "We didn't forget," and support for Iran's right to retaliate is surging. The world is no longer cheering bombs, they're chanting "no more." Now let's talk about the bombing of Gaza and the continued Iran response. In April 2025, just a few months ago, Israeli jets bombed tent camps in Gaza. Homes of families were displaced. These were civilians still reeling from prior violence. Iran's ongoing missile fire is its response to the aggression. Let's look at the footage of this event. Yeah, folks, that was 2 months ago in Gaza. So the same people complaining of what's going on right now in June 2025, they did that less than 3 months ago, April 2025. This isn't preventive, it's retributive, and global citizens are watching. Iran has not relented, and global sentiment has shifted. Westerners now publicly root for Iran's perseverance against what they see as genocidal Zionist tactics. Very important to see this thing. Very important to see this thing. Now, the Bible talks about these prophecies occurring, and we must be aware of what the Bible says in order to help our people grasp with the reality of society. Prior to the second coming of Christ, you will witness various events taking place.
But we're going to continue reading on in the chapter. Listen close. Micah chapter 3 verse 12. Therefore shall Zion for your sake be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house of the high places of the forest. Watch this. But in the last days, are we living in the last days? Yes. But in the last days shall come to pass, meaning it will happen, that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and the people shall flow into it. Wait a minute. Wait a second. So this is telling us, y'all, that prior to the second coming of the Messiah, Jerusalem is gonna be heaps. We just read in verse 12 of Micah 3 verse 12 that Jerusalem will be heaps. The very next verse in chapter 4 verse 1 says,
We interrupt this program. Eyewitnesses in Jerusalem report the sky over the Mount of Olives has split open, and there is a black man in the sky.
I'm live at the Mount of Olives, and dear God, the sky has split open.
There's a figure hovering in the rift. The military people are running. We don't know if it's angel, demon, or...
We've apparently lost signal with Mark on the ground, but we're attempting to reconnect with our senior correspondent, Andrew, who is positioned closer to the event zone. Stand by.
I'm here at the edge of the... My God, this isn't real.
Let's take a moment to consider what we just watched. You just watched a video depicting Jerusalem being destroyed and then the second coming of Christ. These events are foretold in the book of Micah, in the book of Revelation, and various other areas like 2nd Ezra chapter 13. We must watch, we must pray, and pay attention to what's going on in prophecy. Now let's take a look at some of the videos of damage to the land of the Israeli state of the Zionists. As you can see, folks, there's rockets literally in the sky. Now, this damage is significant for the simple fact that they've been rooting and they've been glorifying themselves as they encroach upon various places in the Middle East. But now you see that they are now suffering the same damage that they inflicted on others. As the Bible says, you reap what you sow.
הלך רחת אצלנו פה, תראה מה עשו לנו, כל הבית הלך הבית.
Folks, this is the type of footage that the Zionist state is trying to cover up. They don't want you to see the damage that has been inflicted on them because they want to give the appearance of strength when that's not the case. Just in the same way, they were unaliving men, women, and children in hospitals in Gaza and other areas seeking humanitarian end. Now the chickens have come home to roost.
אימא'לה, מה קורה בסורוקה? טירוף מוחלט. הכל שבור. זה לא אמיתי מה קורה פה. הכל שבור. כל סורוקה. כל המיון.
Now, for years, folks, this individual by the name of Netanyahu has been calling for the U.S. to get involved in the war. But he doesn't realize that this same thing that he wants will come on his own doorstep. And here's the ridiculous thing about this whole entire situation. You have reporters from CNN that are so careless, so negligent, that they will witness a human being injured right in front of their face, but they will not stop to even give a helping hand. This is insanity, folks. Watch this.
Area. The building that was struck has apartment buildings. It also has offices. And here you can see that there are shops. There's a barber shop right here that was damaged by the blast. A corner store, where people might get their basic provisions. Oh my goodness. And as you can see, still quite a dangerous situation with debris still falling. That man was just struck actually by a falling, I hope he's okay. He was just struck by a falling signage on the side here. So, that's why we're wearing this helmet, this safety equipment, because we are still seeing windows falling, pieces of metal collapsing as well.
Now imagine if a piece of metal fell on your family member. Would you want the reporter to stop what they're doing and assist the person? That could have, I don't know if that was his coworker, but it seemed like it was something significant. That piece of metal devastated that man, and the reporter just recorded it. And just that's it. Oh, it looks like a piece of metal. Stop and help the person. It doesn't matter if you're reporting live on TV. Your humanity is more important than news ratings, but most people don't get that. They don't understand it. Now, in other news, Jordan's leader speaks out, but we're going to see what he did. At a major international forum, Jordan's king condemned Israeli expansionism and called for its end. Yet, Jordan still allows Israel to use its airspace and facilities to deploy warplanes. Make that make sense. Make that make sense.
And now, with Israel's expansion of its offensive to include Iran, there is no telling where the boundaries of this battleground will end. And that, my friends, is a threat to people everywhere.
So Jordan slams Israeli aggression with the same breath that fuels it by facilitating airstrikes. Streets applaud the rhetoric, but the armaments still fly overhead. Now let's talk about the United States war fatigue and the political divide. The U.S. political landscape now, over the weekend, you have former MAGA figures joined urban protesters in echoing no war on Iran. Wait a minute. The same folks that were saying make America great again is now saying no war on Iran. Leaders like Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene criticized potential U.S. involvement. Consequently, conversely, hawks led by Lindsey Graham and voices in Trump's inner circle still press for deeper participation, citing nuclear threats. Meaning what? They're making stuff up. They're making stuff up. They keep saying the same stuff we heard since the early 2000s. Iran has nuclear capabilities. Iran has nuclear capabilities. Iran, if they did, they would have used it already. We would have saw it in Haifa. We would have saw it in Tel Aviv. We would have saw it already. Now, the National Guard mobilized in New York City, not for protest control, but amid fears of escalation. The question looms, is Trump about to reignite the wars of old or pivot diplomatically? Only time can tell. Now, global tolerance is thinning, folks. Israel closed its airspace. Flights grounded while Iran, Iraq, and Jordan did the same. Stocks have crashed and airlines have scrambled. And that's according to Reuters.com. Now, the problem with that is you have a Trump situation where they are creating travel bans in places like Africa and places like the Caribbean islands. And most people are saying this should not take place while people are in the midst of war, especially in the Middle East, when these individuals travel back and forth all over the continent. So not only is there an isolationist perspective going on, and while there's protest against ICE agencies, people are calling out and saying no to war on Iran. So both ABC7, NBC, and WABC talked about how Iraq urges U.S. to block Israeli aircraft in their airspace. Why is this important? These headlines reveal the crisis isn't remote. It's in our streets, skies, politics, and minds. The global tolerance for unchecked bombings and double standards is evaporating. Watch this video of the protests once again. We are at a crossroads. From Gaza's tent camps to New York City's cold pavement, prophetic energies are converging on one truth: endless war must end. The global cry for peace, sovereignty, and cheap talk, alongside of secret fuel stops from Jordan to Washington, is building unstoppable momentum. If you enjoy this podcast, please contribute to our efforts to teach. The Forefront Radio is a podcast dedicated to the diaspora. We teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that you are the chosen people of God. We appreciate everyone that listens. Donate to our Cash App portal or PayPal at APHIELLEVI. Thank you so much for watching. Share this with 10 people that you think appreciates our content.